Hello and welcome back, everyone. My name is Wolf, and today I wanted to cover what I feel are some of the best sunset weapons that are going to be returning to us in the final shape. The final chapter of the Light and Darkness saga is less than a month away, and Bungie has decided to make some changes on how light level works. They have, in short, removed some of the hurdles new and returning players would need to overcome in order to enjoy the new content straight away and play with their friends. But a side effect of this was the issue that all of the sunset weapons were capped at light level 1600. They have decided to revert all sunsetting changes, which means that any weapon you had stashed away in your vaults will once again be available for infusion and can be used in content where power is enabled. People are referring to this as the Sun Rising. Now, this list is a combination of weapons that, in their time, reigned supreme. These weapons were either at the top of their respective archetypes or had very unique perks that set them apart. They were meta-defining weapons and literally shaped the game in both PvE and PvP. And come final shape, we'll be returning in one form or another. Bungie states they plan to add all of these weapons back into the loot pool with updated perks, as well as giving them origin traits and bringing them up to par with our current sandbox. Now, I want to preface this list by saying there were almost 300 weapons that were originally sunset. And this is only a list of 10 that I felt had the biggest impact, and they haven't returned or been brought back in one way or another, i.e. like the Brave weapons or reworked rewards. Now, some notable mentions are guns like 21% Delirium, Arantel FR4, Perfect Paradox, Last Hope, Antiope D, Duke MK44, Redrix's Claymore, and the Ringing Nail. All of which sound familiar to some players, but the following weapons are sure to bring back some memories. Now, whether those memories are good or bad, it's up to you. First on the list, and one of my personal favorites, is the legendary Not Forgotten. Now, I already did a video with a full breakdown and comparison to the Luna's Howl and the new Brave version, which I'll go ahead and link down below in the description if you want to check that out. But real quick, let's go over it again. This hand cannon was/is a staple of Destiny PvP. This now 140 RPM hand cannon is a monster, and during this season, thanks to a few artifact mods, is also pretty viable in PvE as well. Its potency is mainly due to its incredible accuracy at range, and its perk combination of Zen Moment and Magnificent Howl. Zen Moment granting decreased flinch and recoil, allowing you to hit those follow-up shots easier, and Magnificent Howl, which has been through some changes, now reads, the number of precision final blows before reloading affects the total rounds granted with increased range and damage. Precision final blows with Magnificent Howl active extend the effect for additional rounds. In short, getting precision kills grants precision stacks. Reloading then turns those stacks into Magnificent Howl bullets. Those bullets are buffed by a 50% damage increase and have a slight buff to range. It's about 3 meters. And if you get a precision kill with a Magnificent Howl bullet, it will be refunded to you. With Magnificent Howl times 2, you can easily 2-tap Max Resilience Guardians inside the Crucible. Gameplay in the background is me using it on some of those new maps that just came out in the latest update, which are pretty awesome, by the way. It goes without saying that the ability to 2-tap, even with the slight setup, is very strong, even in today's meta. I also play on controller, and the overall ease of use of the weapon, even at its new 140 RPM, is very smooth. I was even fortunate enough to snag a pretty decent roll on the new Luna's Howl, that slide shot Magnificent Howl one I was talking about, but I can't figure out why. It just doesn't feel the same. I don't know if it's the gun model or if the stability change is just not something I play well with or I'm not used to, but I enjoyed the feeling of Not Forgotten over Luna's, but that's just me. Moving on. The next weapon. Another PvP dominant weapon, which was feared by many and abused by the sweatiest of Crucible players. The Revoker. Now, the Revoker was introduced as a pinnacle crucible reward back in Season 7. The Revoker is special because not only is it an aggressive frame sniper, allowing easier one-shot crits on higher resilience guardians, but it comes with Snapshot. On a special weapon, this allows for a 20% decrease in ADS time, meaning you can snag those quickscopes way easier. But the real reason that this sniper was so abused was for its unique perk, Reversal of Fortune. Back in Season 7, this gun was broken. Reversal used to refund every bullet you missed. It was non-stop special ammo. Since then, it's been nerfed, and now states that you have to miss 2 shots within a short window in order to get 1 bullet returned to the mag. Now, in today's special ammo economy, that's still pretty potent. I just want to say that I am not a great sniper, but I pulled this out of collections, and it took me a while to get used to it again. And I mean a while.
What? Bruh. I got you, homie.
But soon I started to get my groove back. I was able to snag some pretty nasty quickscopes. And the ability to refund that one shot is invaluable, especially in 3v3 game modes where that one shot could be the difference between getting a quick kill in order to have your team push or being steamrolled by a bunch of shotgun apes. Up next is a legendary pulse rifle from the infamous game mode Gambit. That pulse rifle is none other than the Bygones. Now, Bygones doesn't have any super unique perks, nor did it have some lengthy quest grind to acquire, which is part of the reason it makes it on this list. Bygones was all around a fantastic pulse in both PvP and PvE. Its balanced stats allowed for a variety of players to use it, as well as being farmable through the Gambit playlist made it super easy to obtain. But the thing about Bygones is that you didn't even need a god roll for this weapon to perform well. One of the things that made it stand out compared to other weapons around during Seasons 4 and 5, like Blast Furnace and Swift Ride, was that at the time, Forge weapons had scope options. And without the right scopes, those guns could drastically feel different, while Bygones stayed fairly consistent no matter the perks. Obviously, things like Kill Clip and Outlaw, granting increased damage and reload speed after a kill, didn't hurt. Now, I had this exact roll, and dismantled it about 3 days before Bungie announced the changes to sunsetting, and I'm kinda pissed. I really liked that gun. Okay, on to another infamous Gambit weapon to make the list, the bow Hush. Hush is one of the most unique legendary bows to ever hit the Destiny sandbox. Its main shtick being a hip-fire bow. Alright, now hold on, let me explain. Hush was also introduced in Season 7 as a pinnacle Gambit reward, acquired through a Gambit quest which required 1,000 bow kills inside of Gambit, 500 precision kills, and you had to earn a certain amount of medals. Now, the reason this bow is so unique is its perk Archer's Gambit, which is kind of a spin-off of the regular Archer's Tempo, which can be rolled on most bows nowadays, which grants increased draw time after precision hits. Now, like I said, Hush was all about hipfire. Archer's Gambit states, hipfire precision hits grant a massive draw speed bonus for a short duration. How massive, you ask? Well, at base, according to LightGG and D2 Foundry, it has a 684 draw time. Hush is a precision frame, meaning a slightly longer draw time that's optimized for damage. Similar to something like Under Your Skin from Season 16, which also has a 684 draw time. Now if we compare the two, Hush with Archer's Gambit and a max draw time Under Your Skin with enhanced Archer's Tempo and successful warm-up, here's what you get. Shout out to Hynra for this comparison video. Now granted, this was taken about 2 years ago, but you can still see what a fantastic weapon Hush is. Dude, pinnacle weapons were just built different. And Archer's Gambit lasts for 7 seconds. You guys remember that scene from Lord of the Rings with Legolas and just rapid firing shots?
60! 16! 33! 34!
You get the idea. Needless to say, for my bow users out there, this is a special one for sure. It does require a pretty unique playstyle, but for those of you who can master it, let's just say it can be pretty deadly. The next weapon on the list some may find controversial, but I chose Mistfit. Mistfit is an old 720 RPM auto rifle that was introduced with Forsaken and was part of the Tangled Shore arsenal. So I added this to the list not only because this particular weapon was very strong, but all of these weapons were very unique to the game. Not only were they introduced during a huge meta shift back when the game was transitioning from the double primary system to the system that we have now, but some of these were the first archetype of their kind, including the aggressive frame 4-round burst pulse rifles and the aggressive frame 2-round burst sidearms. The thing about Mistfit was that with the right roll, it could reach up to ranges of 30 plus meters, which for a rapid fire auto is pretty damn good. Not including that it had some great perk options, including Zen Moment and Dynamic Sway for that increased stability, and damage perks including Rampage and High Impact Reserves. I think a lot of the Tangled Shore weapons were forgotten about or were slept on, and once they're brought back, you best believe some of those are going to be some standouts for sure. Although for Mistfit, I'm not sure how it's going to be able to stack up against something like Summoner or the Amit. Next on the list is a very unique weapon, the Oxygen SR3. Now this scout was originally introduced as a Vanguard reward back in Season 6, but what made it special was its perk Meganura. Now Meganura is basically like super duper Dragonfly. It reads that Dragonfly deals more damage based on the number of precision hits dealt beforehand. So stacking up precision hits on, say, a beefier target like a champion, then getting the crit kill would cause increased explosion size and radius. It even stacked with what used to be Dragonfly mods, which those have since been removed. Now I'd be super interested to see how, once this is brought back, if it could play into Solar 3.0 stuff with the Scorched and the Ignitions. Seeing as how this weapon was around way before any of that stuff happened, I don't think we got to see its full potential. Let's jump back to those unique aggressive frame sidearms with this next weapon, the Breachlight. This beautiful little sidearm was brought to us back in Season 9 with the return of Saint 14 and the Sundial event. Very easily farmable at that time, and was only one of 3 aggressive frames, which also included Smuggler's Word and Death by Scorn. The difference between these and what made Breachlight so special was the fact that this was the first sidearm that could roll with Vorpal Weapon, and at the time was only one of 6 in the entire game that could get this perk. Now, Vorpal Weapon states increased damage against bosses, vehicles, and guardians with their super active. Now, how much damage? According to a very old video from Fallout, he clocked it at a 55% damage increase. Granted, this video is 4 years old and damage numbers have changed a bit, but at the time, Vorpal Weapon was no perk to sneeze at, only needing to 3 headshot bursts or 4 body shots to kill a Sentinel Titan, or even more hilarious, 2 bursting a Golden Gun Hunter in the face. The next weapon on the list is one of my all-time favorites, the Dust Rock Blues. This shotgun was the go-to shotty for PvP back in Season 4. Now, shotguns have gone through crazy changes in the past few years, but back during the early seasons of Destiny 2, shotgun pellet spread was just completely RNG. There was no shape, cone, nothing. It was random within a certain space. But it was found that archetypes like precision and lightweight frames had naturally tighter pellet spreads compared to the other shotguns. Dustrock over here is not only a precision frame, but also in the kinetic slot, meaning it can easily be paired with an elemental secondary weapon. And during this time, the reign of Lunas and Not Forgotten were at their peak. So these two made a fantastic combo when competing in high levels of competitive Crucible. Shotgun ranges are a lot lower in the current sandbox, and only things like slug shotguns and chaperone can reach or exceed 8 meters. But back then, Dust Rock and other precision frames were able to hit to almost 9 meters with the right barrel perks. And not to mention, chaperone used to be able to hit like 13 meters or something crazy. Dude, shotguns used to be wild. This next weapon is, to this day, still a very rare archetype, but will fit nicely into the current meta when it returns, and that would be Martyr's Retribution. This is another Season of Dawn weapon, and is only one of 2 solar wave frames in the entire game, the other being Explosive Personality from Season 16, which is craftable, but brings up another very interesting question. Will any of these new weapons being added ever become craftable? I mean, we have to assume yes, right? Craftable weapons are still a rather new system compared to the lifespan of Destiny 2. But I digress. Martyrs was, at the time, the first wave frame grenade launcher the game had ever seen. It was a brand new archetype, and we all know how good wave frames are in today's meta. Hell, look at Forbearance for Arc, Harsh Language for Void. Explosive Personality is a great option for Solar, and it's craftable. And if that option comes to these new weapons, I'd like to see Marty's get a nice update to its perk pool. Look at it compared to Explosive Personality. Yes, it does have some nice perks like Autoloading and Demolitionist, which is huge for those grenade-based builds. But I'd like to see it get some other things like Disruption Break, All for One, and it needs a good origin trait to bring it up to par with similar weapons. For example, Land Tank here grants 10 resilience and 5% damage resist in PvE after a kill. And in recent seasons, resilience has become super important in PvE, and every little bit can help. Last, but definitely not least, a fan favorite and a must-have during Season 5, the Kindled Orchid. This trophy could be obtained from grinding your life away in the Black Armory forges. Now this 140 hand cannon was special, for 2 reasons really, Kill Clip and Rampage. This was and remains one of the only kinetic weapons to be able to roll with stacking double damage perks. At the time, you could also stack on a Rampage spec mod, making it a perfect combo to pair with this, granting an extra second of Rampage, which allowed you to reload and proc Kill Clip, giving this weapon all the capabilities to 2-tap with a TTK of 0.43 seconds. This hand cannon was also around during the Lunas and Not Forgotten meta, and gave players a third option to either blow off their opponents' faces in PvP, or roll through red bars in PvE like there's no tomorrow. Alright, that's it my friends. That is my top 10 sunset weapons that are returning in the final shape. If you felt like none of these belong on this list, or you felt like I missed one, let me know in the comments down below. I plan to slowly make more Destiny content, as it has always been a goal of mine to try and break into this market, but I could never find an in. Now, I won't lie, making these videos can be quite challenging. Research, scripting, filming, editing, it's a whole process. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it for anything. Because when I see your comments, your likes, it makes every late night and every extra cup of coffee worth it. So, here's the deal. If you enjoyed this video, if it brought a smile to your face, or if it taught you something new, please consider subscribing. Hit that little red button down below. It's kind of like giving me a virtual high five. And hey, if you've already subscribed, thank you. You guys are starting this little amazing community, and I appreciate every last one of you. But until next time, stay awesome, stay curious. But that's all for me for now. Wolf, out!